TRC EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Buck Marksman. This is not any Buck Marksman. This is the SK Blades Buck Marksman. For those of you who don't know, SK Blades is I believe it's family-owned operation that goes to Buck and takes many of their classic knives and reimagines them with some different materials. Much of the time it's upgrades and then puts them out at a really good price compared to the originals. And it comes with the full Buck warranty and everything. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out. They have some interesting stuff there and some stuff that looks pretty good. I've had my eye on this for a while, the Buck Marksman. Originally, I was looking at the Gray Ghost one, which is the one with the satin blade. This obviously has a black blade, and then that one has, I believe, a grayish or whatever G10 scales. And the original, I believe, had aluminum scales with a I forgot the blade steel on the other on the original, but it was I think it was 154 CM or CPM 154, one of the two. In any event, whatever the blade steel is, it's going to have that Boss heat treat that Buck is famous for, and you're going to have that Buck warranty as long as you are getting from Buck or from SK Blades. So, in any event, I wanted to give my first impressions on this. I actually just got this the other day. I know it's been out for a little while, but I went and got it because I've been wanting one for a long time and just never pulled the trigger on it. So let me tell you a little bit about what I like and what I don't like right off the bat, first impressions, and we'll go from there. So first things first, the first thing you'll notice about this knife is it has this G&G Hawk designed backstrap lock. It is an interesting interface, and the way it works is you open it like a normal flipper knife or one of many other ways, and then you just pull back on the strap here and it will drop. And you can see the action on it is a lot like, it's actually smoother than an axis lock knife, which is interesting. So first things first, you can see there's many great ways to open this. You can use the flipper tab just like you would any other flipper. You can use the Spidey flick. You can use the thumb roll here. You can use just pulling back on the back strap and flicking it. You can use a gravity flick because the detent isn't too much there either. So there's a lot of ways you can open this, and it's quite a fidgety, fun knife. That is by far the best thing about this knife. In fact, I really couldn't put it down for a few days because it's just so much fun to play with. So that's definitely one thing I noticed off the bat that's great. Another thing is this pocket clip. It's fastened on the back of the knife rather than on the side, so there's no screws or anything there, which is great because you can get a nice deep carry here without screws interfering or in the way, and you're getting the entire knife below the pocket line, which is excellent. So that's another thing that's great here. Right off the bat, the ergonomics are interesting. There's sort of one continuous line here, and you can hold it and really feel secure in here. It's okay. They feel okay. The back strap here feels like there's a divot. It feels like it's going in, so that when you put your thumb on top, it feels like it's really locked in. But what's interesting about it is, even though the line on it is straight like this, it actually feels a little bit like this, you know, where it has this step. And it doesn't really make any sense why it would feel that way, but I'll tell you why this feels that way to me is this pocket clip sits so low that it sort of tricks your hand into thinking there's a step right here when you're holding it, if you're not looking at it. It's a little bit odd. It's, I guess, playing mind games with me, but that's something I noticed right away on it as well. So I've talked a little bit about you know, a couple of my favorite things about this, and that was one of the drawbacks, was the ergos on it. I guess are good, but not great. Now, as far as something that is you know, not as good, so there's a couple of things. One of the ways this the backstrap lock is one of the things that causes it to be great because of all the fidgety stuff you can do with it, but it also causes some of the drawbacks as well. One of those is the way the detent works. So if you look here, let me see if I can show this. So it's that little hook there. I don't know if you can see it riding up right underneath the strap, but that's the detent to come out, and then this is the lock right here to lock in. Boom. Okay, so one of the drawbacks here is going to be the fact that if for whatever reason, let's say you don't use a lot of force because there's not a lot of detent there, it's going to come right back at you. So you just got to make sure your fingers are out of the way there. So, you know, you're going to get that drawback. Now, I sometimes sit here and play with this like this just because it's kind of fun, which means that, you know, it's not really that much of a drawback, and I can fire this out most of the time, absolutely no problem, as long as I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. But if I'm not paying attention, every once in a while I'll get one of these, and so just be aware of that as well. The other thing is that because this is sort of this weak detent, so this is totally fine for EDC. I have no problems using this for EDC whatsoever, but a couple of people, it's just something you should be aware of, is there is a little bit of blade play, tiny bit of blade play, mainly because of the way the lock interface is here, and as a result of the way the interface is here, you're also going to get that spine whack test that breaks the lock. Now, I will say on most knives, I could care less if the spine whack test breaks the lock, because for the most part, you're always going to be pushing down, you know, this way against whatever you're cutting. And so, you know, the fact that it closes this way really isn't a big deal. You know, sort of like how slip joints work. You're not really worried they're going to close on you because you're using them against the grain. That being said, if you're using this in a military application, and this is called the Marksman, you know, I just would be aware of that, because if you end up in a thrusting motion with this, I would be concerned that whatever you hit might cause it to close on your hand. So just be aware of that as well. That might be one of the drawbacks, and might be one of the uses that you decide not to use it on. But for, I also wouldn't use it necessarily, you know, to jab into anything for that reason as well. But for all other normal EDC uses, to cut open boxes, to you know, break down whatever we're breaking down, you know, I'm gonna 100% recommend this knife. I know this is just the first impression, but I've been loving this so far. One other thing that's a drawback is the jimping here is pretty aggressive. The first couple of days, actually the first day really, my fingers were sore from pulling the back strap up so many times. That being said, I don't know what happened, but after a day or two of it, it doesn't bother me at all anymore. And just one other thing to mention is that the SK Blades version of it, I've heard from other videos and everything, is that this is a little more rounded off than the original version, which means that if you're getting the original version, that jimping might bother you even more than it does on this one. As I said, the main difference between the two, you've got your orange G10 here, and your S35VN over the aluminum, and I believe it's 154 cm from the original. So this is an upgrade, and I'm loving the steel. It comes very sharp from the factory. I didn't have any issues with the sharpening. I did buy this secondhand, but it was pretty much like new in box, and pretty sure this is the original factory edge. So very happy with this. Overall, I'm, like I said, very happy with it. Go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know if you have the Marksman, which version you have, and what you think of it. In the meantime, go ahead and take a look. I have a giveaway going on right now. It ends Sunday. So please go and support BJ. It's to benefit BJ from Hilltop Knives. So please go over there and support him. I will be doing another giveaway as well after that shortly. So just be aware of that as well. And in the meantime, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit the notification button so you do not miss any of my content, because you do not want to miss all these giveaways. Thank you so much.